Hey, welcome. How's it going, everybody? I know it's been a while. I apologize. Life kind of gets in the way, sometimes, and but it's good to be back. I think it's been about let's see, probably 6 weeks, and then before that, it was a while too. So clearly, I would love to do this like every week and stuff, but sometimes you can't find the motivation, And honestly, I think it's been kind of good for me to take a break. So yeah, haven't done much open source really at all. I've been doing mostly just work stuff and just kind of focusing on some real life stuff. It's 2020 has been a pretty up and down year, and I kind of realized in lots of ways I was neglecting some of my real life like responsibilities and things like outside of work, and I kind of wanted to do better for myself. I think that's important. So, but we're back, so let's give it a shot. Let's see if I remember how to do this. It's been a while, and I know in particular I'm sure the tests are going to confound me, but maybe start with something easy. So let's get going. So something we were talking about the other day actually is I got a new car and I was able to hook it up to my network and stuff, and I could see that at least with V4 we were connected to. It was able to get like a DHCP list and everything. So I checked the neighbor table on my router and I saw that actually my car did seem to be doing IPv6, which is pretty cool. So I was kind of wondering if I could like make like a logging thing. It's quite rad that you were back. Heck yeah. I was kind of wondering if I should like make a little bit of like a logging thing here so that if you set an interface to like a verbose mode, it will log the router solicitations. So for example, I think we do metrics for those, but I don't think we do any sort of like logging. I generally don't really like logs, to be honest. I think they're generally spammy and not useful, but for situations like this, it could be useful. Let's see what we got. So going back to this, the portion of this that's going to handle this handle function. So given a router solicitation, every time we receive a message, okay, the name of the message and its type, or no, the name of the interface and the message's type, but we don't do anything as far as like logging goes. So it's kind of funny because like I honestly don't even remember if I have a configuration file thing for verbosity on a per interface level or if it's the server as a whole. So I guess we'll have to look at the config too, but this seems a little off. How's that? A little better? Yeah, so taking a look at the config, good old default toml config. Verbose. This interface will have verbose logging mode enabled. Yes, there we go. So I already added this. Whether or not this interface will have verbose logging, prefers to use metrics to communicate non-error conditions. Yep, true. Errors are communicated with both metrics and logs. Setting this to true will enable more verbose or more informational logging output. So we can actually take this and we can add some verbose messages. So for example, if I want to things in my IoT VLAN, if I want to know if they're using V6 because you often can't get into them, it's stuff like my Elgato key light, my Google Homes, my car. My car is on the IoT VLAN because I don't trust it. My TV isn't even hooked up to the internet. I don't trust the TV at all. I feel like with the TV, the smart TV, you're better off just kind of leaving it alone. So, yeah. So we've already got this toggle in place. That is great. I wonder if I'm actually using it. I honestly don't remember. Is there anything in this file about verbosity? No, it doesn't seem to be. Or do I have like a log F that checks the verbosity? So we have a log F function. We'll probably make a debug F as well. That's probably going to be the play here. And debug F is going to be things like the verbose mode. Let's go back to the servers. This is kind of like the main type that coordinates all the different Go routines that do various different things. And I would expect it in here somewhere. It's kind of funny, right? Because like this is my code, but I haven't really looked at this since August, I don't think. I've been running the latest version of this, the latest release at my house for months, and honestly, it works fine. The only difficulty is, for some reason, I don't know if this is DHCP CD or Charter my ISP or both, but sometimes Charter will drop their prefix delegation to me, and I will either get just IPv6 on the router WAN interface or a single /64 instead of my 56. And I honestly have no idea why, because you would think that, like, in theory, there's enough addresses that it's delegated once and that 56 belongs to you forever. But it doesn't seem like that's actually the case. So I don't really understand why. So as a result, sometimes like my IPv6 prefixes will fall off, and I'll actually get an alert from this from Prometheus telling me that, hey, Emric and Body, welcome. Hi, great to see you stream again. Yes, it's great to be back. I needed some time. Life has been, life's had its ups and downs, right? But I'm glad to be here. I'm feeling a lot better. I had surgery a couple weeks ago. Kind of a long-standing problem that was really a pain in the neck and also made it more difficult to stream. And that's resolved. So I've got some cool little incisions that I'm not going to show you on Twitch stream, but Pretty cool. But I'm feeling a lot better. I'm finally getting back to my normal diet and stuff. Like I'm getting there, you know. So just kind of trying to take each day as it comes and enjoy life, really, right? That's all you can really do. You gotta subscribe to my OnlyFans for those pics. Oh yeah, most def. Don't worry, Twitch or OnlyFans.com/mdlayer, right? Oh, where were we? Verbosity, yeah. So okay, so the monitor interface has the verbosity plumbed in. Log F. Let's see. If I know me, I probably have a debug F in here too. I do. Yeah, exactly. See, I know myself so well. It's really funny because I talked about adding this exact thing to the advertiser just now, but I did this 4 months ago. Like, my thought process is exactly the same, which is pretty funny. You hope everything is okay and will get even better. Yeah, absolutely. I'm feeling really good actually. I think it was definitely like a positive process. I mean, there's just a lot of like life stress and stuff involved with like surgery, and like it wasn't even like a major one by any means, but like it's my first time like spending the night in a hospital, and it kind of sucked, you know. But I'm okay. I really am okay, and I appreciate the concern. So I think basically we're gonna take just exactly this and copy this over to the advertiser because this is effectively exactly what I want, you know. There's also some other stuff I want to do today. We'll get into that a little bit too. I had this idea a few months back to try and make use of systemd's, what is it? I think you can like set a certain signal to do a reload instead of a termination, and I thought that would work, but it seems like the systemd control for it does not work as I expected, so we're going to need to reevaluate that as well. But for the time being, let's get back to this. I want to start with something really easy just to like get myself back in the groove. Actually, you know what? Something even easier. Let's do all the dependency updates. Probably about time. Go ahead and tidy, of course. Let's see. So go CMP, route netlink, my netlink library, Prometheus, X. Yeah, this is all pretty much stuff I would expect. Let's see if all the tests pass, hopefully. I would expect they would. So the iNetAF net adder package, the one we've been working on for the different IP addresses from the Tailscale folks, it's had some really interesting changes recently. They're looking at changing the internal representation of that library of an IP address into like a flat, I want to say like a flat 24-byte structure, and also finding clever ways to include the IPv6 link local address zone in there. So that's been pretty interesting, and I haven't been following along too closely, but I've been reviewing some of the PRs, and I like the ideas. Definitely some pretty unsafe YOLO kind of going on, you know, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's looking pretty good. The test passed, so let's go ahead and commit this. Is this in the way? No, it's not. Go.mod, pump dependencies. You know what's funny is I'm on a, let's see, VS Code says go 1.15.4. I honestly don't even know if that's the latest release anymore. .org. I haven't been paying that much attention. 1.15.6, yeah, I'm bad. Wow. I don't usually skip 2-point releases. Let's fix that really quick. So, always gotta check my temp folder to make sure there's nothing suspicious in there. Anyway. I know there's probably better ways to do this, but let's see here. So sudo rmrf user local go, and need to do that. And then I'm probably going to have to close VS Code and everything, aren't I? Because of the go please stuff. Okay. Tar xf go 1.15.6. Sudo move go user local go version. There we go. Okay. VS Code. I think I have the latest go please as well. Your go version is different. Yeah, sure. Go for it. I don't think it's going to matter for a 1.15-point release, but I suppose it doesn't hurt either. I actually wonder how many of these tools are really used anymore, because I've been using go please for a long time, so I suspect not many, but I don't know. Anyway, I believe we are good to go back to the advertiser like I was talking about. Let's see. Print say format, debug log if verbose was configured. Yep, exactly. That is exactly what it does. Advertiser. Hey, verbose. Oh, do I have that as part of the... I do have it as part of the config. Hey, what's up? Large Databank, thank you so much for the subscription for 7 months. That is awesome. I appreciate that, man. Actually, please. I should make that emote, yeah. I think what I probably need to do is like get a green screen and do some silly faces and then have somebody just like crop those out, you know, because I don't have any good emotes still. My friend who's an artist is busy with life and you know, but I appreciate that. Thanks, man. Config verbose. This is the per interface configuration. So log f debug. Yeah, this looks pretty good to me. So if I do this and I add the debug f as appropriate now for the router solicitations and such, that seems like it would be pretty useful, right? So let's see. Just to start, received NDP message of type, yeah. This almost feels like a debug message to me, saying it's ignoring something, but also I think we have an ICMP filter, so in theory we should never receive anything that isn't a solicitation or advertisement. So I think these are probably both worthy of, let's see here, so debug f, received router solicitation from, what info do I have from this person? So I've got the router solicitation itself, so I've got I should have the source link layer is one of the options if I remember, and then also the IP address, the link local IP address. Maybe something like this. So how about, you know, I'm pretty sure I have I think I have a helper in here somewhere that can extract the IP from, or the MAC address from the options. I don't exactly remember what it is, but I'll find it. So to start, host, and then this is going to be the MAC, but oh, neat. So that picks it up already with the vet check or whatever. %s says nil arg, or arg nil. Are you adding logs for debugging or user info or both? Yeah, actually in this case, I think it's going to be a little bit of both. So the story I told is that like I got a new car and I had to move it up to my apartment and hook it up to Wi-Fi to update the firmware on the display console. It's a pretty silly thing. And I saw my car did V4, of course, but I was just curious if it did V6. So I checked the neighbor table and it did, but since CoreRAD doesn't do any per device logging by default or anything, I wanted to add the ability to, like, for example, turn this on my IoT VLAN so I can see like what's being spammy, see what's connected, whatever else. I think that'd be pretty useful because devices in that VLAN I have very little visibility into. So this just seemed like kind of a useful thing. But yeah, it's really just for fun. Like, honestly, I've been running this at home for almost a year now, and it works pretty much flawlessly. Internet of Cars. Yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty sure I have a helper. What's it called? Like source. Yes, I do. Source link layer address. Heck yeah. That's great. So this will find that source link layer address or unknown. Okay. But this accepts what type does it take? Options. Options, right. Received router solicitation from %s. So the IP address and then the host, right? Or the IP address and the MAC address. That seems fine. And how about an advertisement? So received, let's see here, router advertisement. I guess I should probably make it so these messages are more consistent. From IP %s, source link layer address, like so. Make it so the logs are more consistent. IP, %q is what I'm using, it looks like. Okay, sure. Let's go with that. Verbose and consistent is good because it makes it more easy to grep. It's kind of funny how, like, grep is one of those words that becomes like a verb just for people to use, you know? Like, you say, oh, just Google that, or just grep it, you know? Received router solicitation. Now, a router advertisement has a lot more information, so in theory, if I wanted to listen for other router advertisements, then I could pull this apart a little bit. Maybe I should list its router lifetime, because that is what determines if clients, if I remember, the router lifetime is what determines if clients are willing to use this as a default route or not. Hey, Crazy Default, welcome. Thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate that. Catching it online after quite a while. How's it been? Yeah, it's been good. I've needed to take a lot of time. I wanted to take some time recently in my life to kind of take a break from computers, and I realized like there were areas in my life where I could be doing better offline. I had been focused really hard on my job and my open source and everything else, and I kind of realized that like I was kind of letting some other things fall by the wayside. And on top of that, I just had surgery and stuff, so it's just been a whole it's been a whole thing. And 2020 has had its ups and downs, but honestly, I think I'm a better person for it. I think I'm better, more well-rounded, and I kind of want to approach things with like renewed enthusiasm. So I want to come back, give this a shot, have a good time, and yeah, kill some time on a Sunday with all of you. So it's good to be here. It's good to be back. Source link layer address, and then I should probably also list the default lifetime, like I was saying, because that will determine if the client uses this as a default route or not. Default lifetime %s. So default router lifetime. Oh, that's good to hear, man. Always you first, everything else later. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, it's kind of one of those silly things, right? But it becomes so easy just to kind of get caught up in like complacency in lots of ways, and I just realized like there were things I kind of wanted to like do and accomplish and improve on that I had just put off for months and months because of like the pandemic brain or whatever else, and sometimes you just need kind of a kick like that, or just something to get you back on the right track. And I think I've kind of found that. Not that I felt I was doing like bad before, but I know I wasn't doing all I could. And kind of the way my brain works is that like if I'm not accomplishing something or improving in some way, then I start to kind of I don't know, become anxious and unhappy, right? Advertisement default lifetime, or let's see here, yeah. So router lifetime %s. That's better. Okay, these seem like pretty good logs. I mean, this is a pretty easy change, Hey, Frederick, welcome. Yeah, I think everyone needs small wins now and then. Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like, it's easy to... If you don't really, like, pay attention and celebrate your small wins, like, it's easy to not realize what you've accomplished. Like, frankly, I've had an awesome year, like, professionally and stuff. Work has had its ups and downs too, of course, but it's like I just switched to a new team. I'm working on stuff like, Linux kernel, netlink layer, stuff like that, using my open source projects, contributing to open source. Like, things are really looking good there. And there's been a lot of good things that have happened in my life, that I haven't necessarily taken the time to really acknowledge and be thankful for. And it occurred to me that like, if I continued down that path, then like I'd ultimately never be happy with lots of things, right? So I don't want to be like that. You relate, you're kind of there right now, looking for some kind of an unplugging soon myself. Hoping the vaccine reaches India soon so I can safely travel. Yeah, absolutely. It's starting to get around here for like frontline medical workers and stuff, but I suspect it's going to be at least another 4 to 6 months for general population. I'm hoping that 2021 will be an awesome year. Like I've got money saved to buy a house. I want to get a house. I want to have people over in my backyard and like just have a good time and do all those different things. Like there's so many things I want to do and accomplish, and I want to set myself up for success as much as possible with all of those. And here's hoping the vaccine really does turn things around. But unplugging once in a while is important, and that's something that it's a lesson I need to remind myself of. You ready for the Roaring Twenties? Yeah, me too. I know, it's so funny, right? Somebody posted on like Twitter or Reddit something about how the the Roaring Twenties came after like the 1918 pandemic, and it's like, yeah, I can see why. Well, cool. The tests still pass and stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, this is a really easy thing. I think the one thing I want to do now is I want to test this with my test setup, if I can remember how to do it. Scripts develop, right? Yes, we're going to add a couple of Veth pairs here really quick. Yep. And now we are able to build and run this locally using a Veth pair. So if I do... Right? Sudo, yeah. Deprecated. Oh, that's right. I added a few things. Okay, we need to modify the configuration for this default thing. So prefix whatever. Let's see here. Verbose equals true. Verbose equals true. Oh, monitor equals true. So what this should give us is a variety of different logging messages and such as we send neighbor advertisements back or router advertisements back and forth. So ndp rs-i. Hey, there we go. So monitor received a router advertisement from there. So that's exactly what we just added. Right? No, that was for the monitor. So the advertiser, let's see here. So CoreRAD v1 rs. Yep. Oh, that's... wow, that's sending a lot more than I expected. Why is that? So I would expect this program... There might be kind of some kind of funny business here because I've got this running on both interfaces. Let's see. So let's turn off. So false, false. Let's not run this over here. Okay. I think there was some kind of loop going on there with the monitor and the VETH pair. But yeah, that's exactly what I would expect. So now, like, for example, if I put this in my IoT VLAN, I will see receive router solicitation from IP source link layer address. There you go. And now I can check and see what my car is doing. You know, maybe something that could be useful for this too is I could do like an OUI lookup, right? So the first three hex digits of the MAC address, the first half of MAC address is a 48-bit, no, 24-bit like pre-assigned identifier. So for example, it will indicate like, you know, the manufacturer of the device is like Intel or Qualcomm or Subaru even, you know. You have that in the Go Crazy DHCP4D status page. Nice. Oh, as far as like the OUI stuff, I think I should do that. That seems like it could be a useful thing. The router 7 status page. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that seems like that could be useful. Because like I can always just look it up and you can just copy and paste it, but that could be a useful thing. Oh, sweet. So you do have a package for it. Nice. Let's check that out. Nice. Look up, wait until load, it's there. Update. Yeah, this is promising. I may file an issue and we may talk about splitting this out somewhere because I could use this as well. Internal, none for you, Matt. Yeah, I mean I could always steal it if I needed to, but sorry. Keep opening things in the wrong window. Feel free to fork this if it's on repo. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I see. That's cool. I like that. It's one of those like quality of life things. It's like you don't frankly need it, but it could be useful once in a while, you know? Especially for like a verbose like debugging mode. Anyway, let's see. Did I %Q all of these? I did. Source link layer. Yes, these are all %Q'd. Okay. And if I advertise, if I make these two advertise at each other, then we should see that as well, actually. Advertise, but there's no prefixes on it, so... Okay, let's try this. There we go. They are advertising to each other. And you can see router lifetime 0 seconds, router lifetime 30 minutes. Sick. Here's what it looks like in action. Okay, let's check out your tweet. You know, one of these days I'm going to copy and paste something bad from chat and get in trouble. Nice. That's sick. Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't have like a web UI yet, but that's something I've considered as well. It's just that like you don't really need it, but being able to know like what devices are kind of on the network at any given time is a pretty useful thing without having to like TCP dump, you know. Okay, cool. Well, this feature clearly works, so ship it, right? CoreRAD. See if I can type. Had a little bit of coffee and I can tell I'm just a little jittery, you know. Let's see here. Add verbose logging. Verbose advertiser logging for received NDP messages. Next entry on live stream fails. Stop Bertrix MD layer into DMCA is on stream. Yeah, that's like a real thing. Like, I can't believe all the DMCA stuff that's been going on. That's wild. Like, I mean, I'm sitting here listening to copyrighted music, but you know, it's muted for you all, you know. So you can listen to your own music on the stream too, which is cool. Where do you get the data for this? Probably, I imagine there's like a CSV somewhere or something, or like a database you can dump. I wonder if you'd be able to like include that with a binary though, because I probably want to like embed the file. Especially now with Go 116 is going to have file embedding support, which is pretty cool, because for the time being, I've been using a couple of different things. This has taken a really long time to push. Okay, that was weird. Yeah, with Go 116, that file embedding support should be really nice. Actually, I'm looking forward to that. Oh, sweet. So there is an OUI CSV. Okay. People are raving about the file embedding stuff. Yeah, I'm sure. I know the new like OSFS or IOFS should be pretty useful too, as far as like mocking up file systems, because that's something that I find myself doing quite frequently. So, I guess, well, part of me wonders, it's like I could play around like with the Ghost 116 beta today and start porting some of this stuff to TIP, but I don't know if I have the energy for that yet. We'll see. Failing, huh? What's going on? Oh, the Go mod. Okay. Looks like, huh. Oh, flaky debug HTTP test. That's fun. Embed for the win. Should stop posting so many links before Twitch will kick me out. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're probably okay, especially because you're VIP, but I do not know for sure. Let's see here. Oh, so you did try it. Let's see here. So the embed package, Go embed. Huh. And does this imply you don't need to commit the generated code? Because I feel like being able to like go get something is pretty useful too, you know? Although in this case, I guess if you have the file checked in. Yeah, it does imply that. Okay, so okay, cool. I'm feeling like perhaps you're part of my people are raving about sample. Now that I think about it, yeah, most likely. The Go Twitter community is not that big, right? Yeah, we're still pretty small, bunch, I believe. One sec. So Go generate will still be relevant, but no longer just for just embedding files. Nice. Yeah, because I am using file embedding in one place in this program, the config file. Yeah. So my old coworker Antoine made this embed tool. So embed file into this variable. There you go. And this is just committed into source. But what's going on? Lock up VS Code. Oh wow, that was weird. Anyway. Yeah, so I do use it for that purpose. So I guess I'll look forward to that change. What else did I want to work on today? I know the server. Yeah, so let's see. This is something I was talking about earlier. So my understanding is that systemd, I thought, could be configured to send a certain signal so that when you pass it like systemd or systemctl service reload instead of restart, you could send a different signal. But I don't seem to remember that working. My intent was as follows. Let's see. Gotta run. Good seeing you. Yeah, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that. Take care. Have a nice Sunday. So I have this signaling task, and this does things like, yeah, no matter which signal you receive, it puts this into the terminator type. And then we would determine if the signal is terminal or not. So what we want is, if we get a sig hup, we want to basically shut down without making all of the clients drop their default route. So if you want to do something like change the configurations, you can deprecate a prefix. Every time you stop CoreRAD, it will send out an advertisement that will cause all the IPv6 clients to drop their default route, which is, not very nice, but I think that's what the RFC says you're supposed to do. So my intent was to make it so that if you get a sig hup as configured by like systemd, then you can restart more gracefully by not sending that message and then just come right back up and the clients won't even notice in theory. So I want to say what I tried to do with this was, let's log into my router. So sudo, I don't think I need that, cat. Yeah, so restart kill signal equals sig hup, but I want to say systemd did not like this. let's see. Restart kill signal. So this specifies which signal to use when restarting a service, the same as kill signal described above, with the exception this setting is using a restart job. Yeah, so that seems like, I mean, if you're restarting the daemon, that seems like that should work, right? Not set by default, but the value of kill signal is used. Yeah, so why didn't this work? It's been a couple of months, forgive me. Let's hang on. System CTL. So let's do a hard stop. Wait, this is gonna drop my V6. This is gonna drop my V6 default route. I don't actually know if I'm connected to Twitch over V6 or V4. Let's see what happens. If the stream goes down, you know why. Okay. As far as I can tell, things are still active. I seem to have There we go. Yeah, things are fine. Okay. Anyway, I could have sworn there was something in the systemd logs complaining about this setting, and I frankly don't remember why. Let's make this smaller really quick. Yeah, so I guess nothing in the unit is really... Nothing in here is complaining. This is all typical startup messages. Is there a quick systemd command to have it validate a unit file? So systemctl validate. Systemd validate unit file. Systemd analyze verify. Okay. Systemd analyze verify. Oh, file name. Okay. Let's see here. So that unit lives at this crazy Nix path. Yes, that seems right. What signal did we get last time around? Received hang-up. Yes, that worked. Actually, it did work. Why didn't this work before? I actually could have sworn there's something wrong with this. So this did not drop my IPv6 default route because my code worked as expected. Why? Why did I think it would? Okay, let's try this. So this actually might kill the stream this time. Receive terminated. Yeah. Well, let's see here. I lost my connection to my router, at least. Am I still here, Twitch chat? Uh-oh. How is this still... How does stream work? I don't know. Things are a little broken at the moment, I think. Okay. Truly a mystery. Yeah, I'm guessing... I guess I must be connected over V4, huh? Am I gonna have to kill the... Let's see. So sometimes temp, SSH, control mux stuff. Yeah. Okay. Let's start. This is why I should be testing this on the lab instance instead of the real one, because I'm a dummy. Anyway. So, ping6, google.com. Yep, my V6 is back. That's good. Yeah. Wow. You know, I for real thought that this was not gonna work. And I'm very confused. I guess it's possible that in the time that I did this, I've upgraded systemd since then on my router, and as a result, systemd is now able to handle this because we did move to NixOS 2009 as well. Maybe that's why. So maybe this didn't work months ago, but now it works. I mean, that's great. It saves me some work, but... Okay. One more time. Let's try this with... I should probably do this in the lab VLAN, honestly, and stop messing with the production stuff before I actually kill my stream for real. So, go build. Uh-oh. Fantasy football alert. For once, during this pandemic, my horrible team is not doing too bad. So, one sec, I gotta adjust something really quick. Pretty silly, huh? On stream, show us the magic. Yeah, my team is a thing. Um, but basically, I'm in a situation right now where James Conner is still questionable, but apparently James White on New England was just upgraded to play. I've had McCaffrey, but he's only played like 2 weeks this entire season, which sucks. But I also have Mahomes and Kelsey, and that's been really good. I drafted first this year, and it worked out pretty well for me. Yeah, I think I need to leave this alone. I think it'll be fine, but pretty silly. Anyway, fantasy football is the worst. Yeah, so whenever I build something for NixOS, I need to make sure I turn off Seago, or else it gets mad because it uses libc linker magic stuff. So I did not want to cat the binary. A Go interface to your fantasy league. Yeah, I think people have done that actually. That could be kind of cool. People have done similar sort of things. So what's in the config file here? Yeah, this is the lab one. Okay. Verbose. There is no other config because I'm no longer running DHCP v6. Let's see here. Set cap. No. Okay. Sudo. I'll just sudo it for now. It's fine, I guess. Right, so this is running on the lab interface now. So if I log into my server, this has a lab VLAN attached to it, I think, via the bridge interface. So if I /ndp-i bridge 0. Is this not compiled with Seago or something? Yeah, one sec. One sec. I should really package this tool for NixOS because I use it all the time. I have not bothered yet. So go build. Seago enabled equals 0. Go build. SCP. So my server has the virtual machines, the bridge, attached to the lab VLAN on the router. So this should work. Yep. So if we send a router solicitation, there we go. And we're actually confirming it works. So we're seeing the solicitation from IP source link layer address. Yes. So that was the logging we just added. But now I think what I actually wanted was this. So I want to listen for messages, and we should just see some on a regular basis. But then when I restart this thing, if I send it a sig hup, it's not running under systemd though. So pit of CoreRAD. So I want to sudo kill hup 23274. Do this again. And what I would expect to see is no... Yeah, hang up, shutting down. Okay. But if I were to terminate this any other way, I would expect this to complain loudly and drop my default route. So sudo kill 23915. This is just a term, right? Yep, there we go. And you can actually tell the router lifetime dropped off. So this works perfectly. Wow, what the heck? I honestly thought this was going to be like a project on today's stream, but apparently not. Woo! Let's go. We done good. We done real good. So I guess at this point, it's just a matter of doing some code cleanup, right? So, cool. I'll take it. Rad champ. Is that a better Twitch emote? There have been some pretty funny ones recently. Like, I know Barb was adding a whole bunch of funny stuff, and there was one about, like, his cat and stuff like that, which is pretty good. Oh, let's see. So I seem to remember not being super happy with the way this task thing turned out, or something about the way signaling was plumbed in here. So perhaps we can look into that a little bit, too. How long have we been streaming? So ever since I came back to Twitch, they modified some of my stream manager here, so things are a little bit different. Session. There we go. 47 minutes. Okay, cool. Right. Yeah, so what's next? What do I want to work on? I was thinking about doing some code cleanup for the task stuff, I think. So the main here is where we do all of our plumbing. We get our configuration file, set everything up. Metrics, HTTP. And so we have all these different tasks, and we use these tasks to coordinate what the server does. So things like advertising or monitoring or etc. So if I go back into serve here, for every task, we also add this signal task. So I think this is where I feel like there's a bit of an impedance mismatch, perhaps, or impedance, however you pronounce that. So we receive this signal channel, and I'm using this to handle termination just like any other task, but I also feel like this is a little bit shoehorned in here, and I used to have it in main, but I wanted it to be more testable, so I added it here. The basic idea for the signal task is that when you get a context cancellation or a signal done, then we will call the cancel function. The cancel function will cancel the top level context of the server, resulting in the cancellation of all the go routines and everything. And actually, this works quite well. The problem is I'm just not super happy with the current structure here. I feel like it's kind of strange to create a context and then plumb its cancellation in and have to pass in the channel of signals and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like I might have the abstraction just slightly awkward here, you know? Like, perhaps this signal watcher portion should not be a task proper, but some construct that exists somewhere in between main and these tasks themselves. Because the other tasks are more obvious things like running an HTTP server or running the advertiser or monitor modes, which are the primary functions of the server. So, yeah, because see, we passed the cancellation function into the signal task, and this whole thing just feels kind of odd to me. Like, it's almost like I want like a tree of tasks, and this signal task is the parent of all of them, or something. Because clearly this works just fine, but I just feel like the abstraction remains awkward, and I'm not super happy with it. And I think my other complaint here is build tasks. Is this it? This is mostly okay, I think. Advertise mode, monitor mode, neither. HTTP debug server, the network state watcher, or the link state watcher. Those are all important things. So I feel like we could do this better. What do you all think? Like, it would seem to me that although I'm running this like it's any other task, it seems like it should be more so perhaps the parent or the... I don't know. It feels like there should almost be an intermediary layer in here that's handling this versus trying to shoehorn this into a task. So I guess we could just try something. Like, usually what works best for me, honestly, is I just sort of start typing and just kind of like move things around and see if I can get things to compile again and see if I'm happy with it. I know that's not like a great plan or anything, but that's kind of the way my head works, you know? One sec. My apologies. Yeah, my friends are giving me some grief about surgery among other things. Classic. Standing desk is a good investment, by the way. Would recommend. And actually, while I'm at it, gotta make sure I don't get stuck. Oops. There we go. And then a standing desk mat is also a good investment. Right. So I think probably... What if I don't like standing? I feel like for me, it helps keep me kind of like awake, focused, etc. If I am trying to... I don't know, if I'm trying to like think, I feel like sometimes like sitting around slouching, etc. is not helpful. So let's remove this as a task, and let's move all of the signal handling stuff back up here somewhere, or perhaps, hang on a sec. Serve, run. Okay, let's start here. Actually, S server, serve. So SD notifier, yeah, it's going to need notifications and tasks and a context, so oh, gotta pick a new album, I suppose. One sec. What do I want to listen to today? There we go. Right, so I'm going to move everything into this function and then move most of the signal handling up here, I think. And that might make things a bit cleaner in my mind. So this air group. So we'll create a base context here. And then the air group, well, hang on a sec. Context cancellation. Go routines are canceled and one of them returns an error. So I want to move the air group down to the serve function, I think. But I also need a way to cancel the go routines if an error occurs. So maybe serve's job is going to be to run its own air group, essentially, with the signal watcher and the other air group of stuff going on. So maybe I keep the air group there. Is this the wrong point to refactor this? So we need cancellation, context with cancel based on some base context, but I want it so that if one of them returns an error, well, so this is probably already, I guess maybe instead of splitting it into two functions for now, let's keep it as one function, but let's think about ways that we can rework this a little bit. So instead of having this signal task, let's see. I kind of want to run this as like a separate thing. So get rid of these interface things. Let's move this logic up for now. I want to open two panes here. I'm sure there are some Vim users over here screaming about how I'm using my mouse. I'm a simple man with simple needs. Let's see. So basically, I want something that's compatible with the air group signature, so I can do handle the what do you call it, signaling and such. How do other people do this? Like, do you bother putting this logic in a package at all? Do you bother testing it? Like, I guess I'm just curious now because I feel like I don't like any of these options. Acme users scream at people without mice. It all evens out on a cosmic scale. Yeah, that's very true. I'm pretty sure I have signal. Yeah. So I actually have a test in here that verifies that given a signal, the server halts. So, because I guess historically what I would do in my old projects is just put this all in main, but I feel like I'm trying to have less and less in main. You know? Package all the things. Yeah. I mean, basically, main's only job here is just to wire up dependencies and call serve. Like, that's it. That's it. You know? And this main is still like 60 lines, but it's all just basic setup stuff. So we start the systemd notification. So basically, we read the flags. We see if we want to write out a config file. To get systemd notifications ready, read the config, parse it, set up signal handling, set up Prometheus, set up the metrics and the context that pulls in all the rest of the things, and then HTTP, and then yeah. How do other people do this? Because I used to have this in main, and it was fine. I just wanted to be able to test it and stuff, especially with regards to the signal determination. So hang on a sec. Do I have tests for that Terminator thing I talked about? Let's see. Dash R Terminator. I do not, it would seem. Yeah, I think for some of this stuff, I was worried about how difficult it would be to like test these things properly. Okay, let's go back. Let's take a look at the current coverage and see what things are like before I start moving stuff around. I mean, I guess, although I feel like this is a little awkward, it does have good coverage. It actually tests the signal handling channel and everything too, which is useful. Yeah, see? Allow the user to forcefully terminate the binary. There's no harm in calling this function with a channel that was never used as a signal notify. Yep. Yeah, this signal stop thing to some sort of like singleton magic, yeah, handlers, stuff like that. So if the handler's not in there, if the channel was never registered with it, it's just a no-op. So I can use that with tests just fine, which is nice. Huh. I guess I can't decide if this is actually worth, looking at. In reality, although I feel like the plumbing is a little weird, it does seem to work well. It fits nicely into this framework because I can start the task, run it, wait for it to be ready, notify systemd, wait for it to shut down, and all those things pretty much just work. So that's Hey, Knight of Dolormoth, welcome. Thanks to the stream. Ooh, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good to be back. It's been a while. I'm glad to be here. I am happy to be with you all today. Yeah, see, so this works just fine. So, like, for example, if you take a look at this, like, everything's up and running. We got the systemd status. So the SD notify stuff, that's what this does, is the server started, all tasks running. Right here. So, although I feel like this abstraction is a little awkward, I honestly can't think of anything better. And perhaps on my first day back, I shouldn't force it, I added the logging thing. Is there anything else I really wanted to work on? I guess I have to kind of like look through and find out, We do have a bit of a... We could look at the HTTP stuff. It's been a long time. I have a small HTTP debug interface. I don't really use it for anything. And it's not really... it's not documented either, I don't think, actually. So... Server? No. CR HTTP. That's right. Handler. So you can actually do... So for example, if you do this, it will tell you the exact configuration at any given time for all of your stuff. So if I want to look at the, let's see here, one, oops, interfaces 0. Yep. So for example here, my primary LAN interface ENP2S0. This is basically my infrastructure LAN. Given the current configuration, it will produce this router advertisement. And of course, this is JSON instead of the packed binary format, but it's advertising this prefix with these parameters, this unique local prefix with these parameters. Yeah. So this is like kind of useful. Like it's like I don't ever really need to use it, but it's something you can in theory use and automate against and such. I'm gonna refill water. I'll be back in just a moment. All right. Let's see. Yes, this is the only thing I ever bothered to create was this interfaces handler that gives you the configuration of each interface. Like, I was trying to think of other things that might be useful here, but frankly, this is a system that's very much driven by its configuration. Like, I don't want to allow, well, at least not in this case. Like, one of my goals for this project was to make it more extensible. So something I'd always considered is allowing you to not only use a configuration file, but perhaps query some kind of like upstream API for the configuration so you could change things on the fly. But frankly, I don't have a need for it, and nobody else has come forward with a need either. So it's one of those things where I'm not really interested in building it if it's something that will just rot, you know? So we've got Prometheus, we've got pprof, we've got this basic API interfaces thing. I'm wondering if there's anything else worth adding here, you know? And if you query the base, it just tells you, you know, you're running it, and this is a version from August 8th, it looks like. So. Yeah, all these JSON structures, all the unpacking into different things. The options, yeah. All these different types I've got to handle and make sure I put them into the appropriate JSON format and back. That's a bit of a pain. Doc.go. Unknown word. It's fine in this workspace dictionary. Yeah, so I'm not really sure there's much to do here either, you know? Maybe not at the moment. Here's some of the build time or linker time stuff. We actually do use this in the NixOS stuff now, which is pretty cool. I think did I automate it? I don't remember. So Nix packages, let's see here. I want to say I did. Packages, tools, networking, right? CoreRAD. There we go. Remove package names. Oh, so somebody. Oh, shoot. I don't want to open that commit. Somebody changed something here in this file. Oh, so they. Okay. Extensible and observable. Yeah. Okay. This originally said CoreRAD extensible. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah, so see, I've got some magic here that will read in this this git tag time file and this version number. So I have a script that will update these things in the Git repository, and then it's able to add these linker flags. This whole LD flags thing with the quotes and stuff is a total nightmare. Like, I wish there were a better way to specify linker flags, because any kind of like shell quote escaping makes this like totally not work, which is a huge pain in the neck. Not a fan. Not a fan of that at all. So that's pretty much good. Is there anything else I would care about, like, at link time? We have the date the binary was built, the fact that it's the beta, which, I mean, frankly, at this point, I could probably just tag 030 and be done with it, because just call it, you know, pre-release or something. Because I think it's stable enough that I would no longer really consider it beta. Like, I've been running this for months, and I've been running it for almost a year, actually. I started this project, like, actually about a year ago, and I've been running this at home, like, since January, I think. So it's been quite a long time. Tests. This is all test helpers. Yeah. Okay. There was this net state thing. So we were looking at replacing the network state watcher logic with something different, but this was also quite tricky and has not proven itself to be incredibly useful yet. So this is the interface I was just talking about, where, for example, if we wanted to hook into like a gRPC server or an HTTP server, we could do that. But like I said, there's just really no reason to do it right now. Like, as much as it would be useful if I were orchestrating a large fleet of these things, like, for example, if, you know, when I was working at DigitalOcean, for example, we were looking at building some kind of like NDP thing. And I think it would have been pretty cool to deploy CoreRAD on the hypervisors and then orchestrate it via some upper layer. But I honestly have no idea, you know, how things have proceeded there in the past couple of years since I've been gone. But it would be cool if they were using it. I don't think they are, though. I should ask. That would be funny. Prefixes deprecation. Yeah, we do support prefix deprecation. That's something I added just before I stopped working on this for a while. So, for example, if you want to change the prefixes on your LAN, you're able to mark when it's deprecated, and CoreRAD will start counting down the time on it, and actually the clients will see that, and they will eventually stop using those prefixes, which is nice. And that was actually why I wanted the live reload thing, you know, with the systemd unit. So if let's see. Now that I know that thing works, actually I should document that on the website if I haven't already. So actually we got the Hugo website in here too. So content, operation. Yeah, here we go. So I should steal the systemd unit from the NixOS module. So NixOS modules. What's this under? Services, networking. Yep. Yeah, see, August 9th. This is when I worked on this. Use SigHub to restart the service. Yeah. So seems to work. Might as well add it to the docs, right? Let's see here. Okay. Oh, this is the Nix format. This is not plain text. I need to do this. Let's see. And also the use of start kill signal equals sig hop. This allows to the configuration file for CoreRAD to be changed without to be changed. So the service can also be restarted without. This allows the service to be restarted without causing IPv6 speakers to clients to drop their default route. When the service, let's see here. When the daemon is restarted via systemctl restart CoreRAD. This is useful for, let's see here, changing the configuration or adding and removing prefixes. Let's say, how about, or deprecating prefixes which should no longer be used. It's useful for quickly changing the configuration. Cool. Still on the router? Okay. Website. Okay. Website content, note, restart kill signal in systemd unit. Cool. That's useful. What else can we do here? Did Hugo dump a bunch of stuff? Resources, yeah, I did a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Static check. Actually, I'm pretty sure there's just a new static check release, and I'm probably running an old release of that as well, so I might as well go get that too. Oops. I've been pretty lazy. Every blog post ever should call the language Go and not Golang. Yes. Yes, please. I appreciate that. Yo, Dominic, where's my one-liner? Actually, I guess I could just get a release. That'd be fine. Linux AMD 64. Okay. Static check. Move static check to bin. Static check version. Oops. Version dash v dash version. Right, 22. Okay, cool. So let's see if there's any new checks I'm failing. I don't think so. I was running master for a while. Nope. Okay, cool. CI systems are good, you know. I suppose I could potentially tag this as 03 today. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I really care to work on before then, you know. The majority of the logic here relies on this internal CoreRAD package. There's also the system package, which does a fair amount of stuff too, but I think this is all pretty well covered. It's kind of weird being like happy with a project, right? Like you kind of run out of things to work on in some ways. Like if I'm happy with the project and its test coverage and etc. Yeah, this is the... I've got like a socket dialer in here that will attempt to reestablish the socket if the network interface goes down or is otherwise unavailable or unusable. Like, for example, if the IPv6 link local address is gone. All kinds of retries built into the system. This took a long time to get this going. No doubt about that. Yeah, here's the stuff that will actually set up the ICMP filters and such. There are integration tests as well, so this actually should all have coverage if you run it with the right permissions. Same thing here. This reads stuff from like the proc file system and stuff. We've got an abstraction for modifying the system state, autocomp forwarding. You know, I'm wondering if there's like anything else like any like system parameters I should be looking at to determine if something is like advertising or not, you know? Like if an interface is set for auto configuration, you want to make sure you shut that off because otherwise I think you can trigger generation of addresses on your own interface that you're advertising from, which is quite strange. And if you're forwarding traffic, you need to be able to be forwarding IP traffic on Linux at least in order to be an advertising interface. So that's actually all checked for us, which is nice. Man, I'm running out of ideas. It's kind of weird, like having a project that's like effectively complete, at least for the purposes that you need it, you know? It's not the worst problem to have, I suppose, either, though. Keeps things simple. We've got all the metric stuff, but I feel like I'm already pretty much set on that. Actually, I've got some pretty cool dashboards. Let me show you all. I can show you how I've actually used them a couple of times. Let's see here. Gotta get my creds. So, home. There we go. Yep. So for example, the last 24 hours, you can see exactly what I'm running. So I've been running this binary that was built in August. I started it on the 20th. Oh, yeah, because I restarted it. But for example, here you can tell like what's going on, like my default route from Charter, totally fine. The prefixes I'm advertising, or the prefixes I'm receiving upstream are totally fine. I'm receiving a good amount of monitor messages. All these prefixes are being advertised with stateless address auto configuration. We can see we're receiving RAs and sending RAs and receiving RSs and stuff like that. Yeah, everything seems pretty good. Start a new project. Yeah, you know, that's something I've been thinking about too. I was working on, let's see. I had a project where I was working on my LTE modem, like pulling stats off of that and stuff with Modem Manager, but I don't remember the hangups I ran into there, but it became enough of a nuisance where I wanted to set that down for a while. That could be something fun to get back into, or I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like other problems I have, right? Like in general, my home network these days is pretty stable and happy. So as far as like starting a new project goes, I don't know. I potentially could. Primer to netlink. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of net, you know, we could tag a new netlink release. We're overdue. That is something I could do. I've been meaning to put out the 1.2 for a while and make sure I drop all the Go 1.15 or 1 111 support and stuff. That is something we could do. Let's take a look at that. That will make lots of people happy because things will be much faster too. So FW and Go, you mean like a firewall? I'm just using the NF tables on Linux and stuff. Like as far as like stuff like that goes, like the kernel really is better at that sort of thing, you know. But there are Michael Stoffelberg actually here wrote a cool NF tables package in Go that uses my netlink package, so you can actually program the firewall in Go, which is really cool. Yeah, so we were able to for a long time with the netlink package, we had this issue with network namespaces and all of this thread local state trickery where we had to lock the OS thread in order to do things safely and properly. But Timo was actually able to figure out that it seems to only be necessary during the dialing phase, and then we can release that lock, and things are much, much faster for everybody, and everybody's happy. So that's something I've been meaning to release for a while now. So I released 1.11 or 1.11. This is the last version that supports Go 1.12 or Go 1.11. Yeah. So set read buffer, set write buffer. Yeah. Oh god, this concurrency bug. So there is this is one of the reasons I wanted to drop Go 1.11 is because there was a lot of like weird locking logic we had to do versus relying on the kernel to do it for us. And I ran into a data race that I could not really fix to solve another long-standing bug. So I kind of wanted to fix 162, but that's hard. It's hard, and we can look at it, but I'm not gonna make any promises. You know, there are lots of things I'm rusty with, but the netlink package is one of the that's pretty rusty for sure. I've been working on this now for what, like almost 4 years or something. So some of this code is very, very old. Let's go ahead and upgrade the dependencies first. Okay. Go.mod, dependency bumps. Okay. So 162. I think that's the pull request. Yeah, right here. No, 169. Yeah, so this is something I was working on, and I ran into a problem with this. I was using, let's see here. I switched to atomics to detect when the thing was locked, but then I ran into data races with the old version of Go. So now that we've dropped the old code, this could potentially work. I don't know for sure. Yeah, see, this seems to cause data race on the Go 1.11 build. I worked on this in June, so it's been 6 months. Pull FD manage this correctly. Yeah. So we already dropped support for Go 1.11. So in theory, I could rebase that pull request and keep working on it, but this is called MDL receive close, yeah. Yeah, we got some merge conflicts here. Fun. Okay, just a couple, looks like. Con Linux integration test. So we need to fix the merge conflicts and then run the test and see what happens. I honestly don't remember my thought process. Let's see. Yeah. So I think in this case, this syssocket stuff is gone because we no longer need the thread lock. So we just want to use the atomics to check if the closed flag is set, and otherwise we're good. So I want to say whatever's in head right now is correct, with the exception of switching to the atomics instead of the lock. David Aurelius, welcome. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. So we get rid of the mutex and we get rid of the closed boolean. We keep, so I think we want to accept both, and then get rid of this. I think that's basically it, right? No, we don't want either of these anymore. So hang on. New sys sockets. This is no longer used, right? Yeah, this is no longer used. So both of these can go away. Okay. Does this pass the test now? I have no idea. This is gonna be a bit of an adventure, friends. It would seem like we want SG. It seems like we want to close the file descriptor, right? So I don't think that stop method exists anymore, though. Something like that. Locked net NS go routine. Yeah, we have more. How many conflicts do we have here? 408. Yeah, I think this is the problem we're running into here is that my change and the one that Timo made are now conflicting pretty heavily. So I'm gonna have to look at Timo's code and see what all he changed. Let's see. Yeah, so get ridding deprecate has no effect. So syssocket do go away. Yep. FD read, FD read, FD write. Do error. I think the problem is here is that I dropped the Go 111 layer after this, which is where we're running into the problem with this. A lot of code going away. That's nice. Okay, so we need to open a raw connection or raw con. Let's just call raw con. Right. Now this panics because wherever we're creating the syssocket, the problem is here is this library has built up a couple layers of abstractions to make testing easier, and we have made things more difficult for ourselves as a result. Yeah, okay, so we need the file descriptor and the raw con. So do we need the file descriptor? SFD. We do need the file descriptor. We need both. Yeah. Oh, ran out of album again already. One sec. There we go. So when you call socket, that sets up the FD and the RC. RC is the syscall raw con. Okay. Let's come back a little bit. So wherever we create the sys socket, we call socket on it. And the socket function is what sets up the internal state, such as the FD and the RC. For the file descriptor, and then the raw syscall con. So bind is panicking at line 435. Well, yeah, we can't bind because we don't have a... Oh, the atomic isn't set. That's the problem here? Yep, seems so. Okay, so... I need a pointer to an integer here. Actually, I feel like I should probably... This is something somebody gave me feedback one time. Like, I was using pointers for atomics, and I feel like I should use values and use pointers where the atomics are used because it makes things less confusing, perhaps. So if I do this, for example, and now I do 32 s closed, unit 32, the address of s closed, right? Okay, well the test just passed. That's a thing. Including the new ones I just wrote. That's including the ones I'm adding in this pull request. So that's you agree with that? Yeah, actually, Dominic, I think you were the one who gave me that feedback in the first place. Is that I should use I should refer to atomics this way. FDRC, yeah. So now we have the raw connection. We've got the file descriptor for things like timeouts. So we are hooked into the polar, and we've got all of these atomics calls. So now when we close, whenever we close the file descriptor, yeah, so we add in, yeah, we add this. Interest close socket, so immediately increment to force further calls to result in EBAD-F before also closing the file descriptor to unblock any outstanding operations. Yes, that makes sense to me. Other operations will check for s close not equals 0, will permit a double close, which increment s close beyond 1. So the first time around it increments, and if it equals 1, it'll increment, and then the original value. Oh wait, hang on. It returns the new value if it not equals 1. Yeah, so it'll close the first time around, and every other time it will no up. That's exactly what I want. You agree with myself? Doesn't always happen. Yeah, I understand that. Well, the tests seem to pass. Base continue. Let's sometimes they get confused, and I just want to take a look at things on GitHub, just like take a step back from the editor for a second and see where things are at, you know. So, oh, I don't need that closed anymore. That's not necessary. 0. Socket will establish the internal state of the sys socket structure. Okay. So we're swapping the mutex and the closed boolean for an atomic closed. And as a result, now we should be able to do multiple operations at once, and anything that is called after a close will get an EBAD-F immediately, which is what we want. And the runtime network polar will see the call to close and unblock any pending operations for anything else too. So in theory, this works. Yeah, here we go. The caller has expressed an intent to close the socket, so immediately increment s close to force further calls to result in EBAD-F before also closing the file descriptor to unblock any outstanding operations. Yes, exactly what we're doing. Other operations simply check for s closed not equals 0, will permit a double close, which would increment s closed beyond 1. Seems reasonable to me. Close the socket, stop its associated go routine. That comment's no longer true. The comment up above explains things just fine. Test integration concurrent close prevents receive. Schedule a close before receive can ever happen, resulting in an EBAD-F. Test flow covers the opposite. So close unblocks receive. Try to enforce that receive is scheduled before close. Yeah, we do a little sleep loop here. Yeah, kind of nasty, but we start a receive. It should get an error, and the error should have something to do with use of closed file. Yeah. This seems right to me. I mean, it seems like we're on the right track, you know. We might be able to put 162 to bed for the first time in 6 months. So that's But of course, what's going to happen is I'm going to tag a release today and get a whole bunch of bugs tomorrow that somebody upgraded and doesn't work. You know. I wonder if it would be nice if I had an easy way to upgrade this. Like, the problem is there's a lot of packages in this ecosystem, and it'd be nice if I had an easy way to upgrade this and verify it works with everybody. But the problem is if I don't do a release, then like I don't know if people would actually use it. So I guess all I can really do is upgrade my own stuff. Like upgrade CoreRAD, upgrade projects I'm using that are using this on a regular basis are CoreRAD, some of my WireGuard stuff maybe. Yeah. Close the pre-flight stream checklist. Don't need that anymore. Yeah, I think this is probably good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll give it a shot. You know, as soon as all the tests pass. That's right. We're still using SourceSide for all the builds here. Should switch to GitHub Actions for Linux at least. 1.15.6. This package has a lot of tests, so I feel pretty good about changing behaviors like this, but you just never know. Yeah, see, we've got a good amount of this stuff covered. Here's something else. So originally, it's kind of funny. We talked to Dominic also suggested this actually, like as far as like allocating a page of memory, peaking for more bytes, and then doubling the size if not enough. Like this is good and this is easy and simple, but also like there are things we can do to make this better. Like I guess first, like keep track of like what the message sizes are and just bump this over time so we allocate more in advance. And I guess additionally, it would be nice if we provided an API that allowed a caller to use their own buffer so we don't allocate. Avoiding allocations was never my goal with this library. I wanted to make something that was easy to use. So as a result, that's nothing I was ever really focused on, you know? All the network namespace logic. Cool, okay. Where are our tests at? Gopher Slack. I do love Gopher Slack. Yeah. As far as I can tell, this is this does it. And the data race is gone because Go 111 is gone. So all right. With Go 111 finally put to bed, I've rebased this and all tests seem to pass. I'm going to merge this with the intent of fixing number 162, but would appreciate more eyes on this change if anything seems amiss. And that's that. I'll go and leave a message here too. This is a long thread. Hang on a sec. I fixed this. I believe I have finally fixed this problem in number 169, and the tests I've written seem to agree with that assertion. I will tag a v120 and which is Go 112 plus only, which I've already warned people about, and have folks give it a try in their own applications. I will update mine as well. It's kind of funny because I think for version 1.0 or 1.1, we actually had this bug just like documented in the docs because like there's just nothing I could do to fix it until I dropped Go 111. Like the data race problems and stuff just like didn't make it really feasible. Sure. Close. Here we go. Due to a bug, close currently cannot unblock concurrent calls. Oh, right. Fix in V120. So I need to update that comment. Closes the connection and unblocks any pending read or any pending read operations. Yeah. I forgot there's more locking at this layer because of things like execute being a combination of send and receive. But I think this is totally fine actually, because we get plumbed into the other layer with a more explicit lock. So I need to document this. Netlink. Let's see here. Document con close. Con close bug number 162 is fixed. Shoot, wrong branch. I'm just gonna go ahead and cherry pick that over to head. Master. Delete my old branches. Done. Done. Ship it. Cool. Okay, change log. Sweet. Version 1.2.0. This is the first release of package netlink that only supports Go 112 plus. Users on older versions must use V111. I know this is really annoying, believe me, I agree, but the problem is there are like LTS Ubuntu's and stuff shipping with like Go 110 that use my code, and such is life, you know. Yeah, so let's add a bit of changelog stuff here. So how do I get this up to the... Take a look at the log here. Let's see here. So improvement. Let's see. So we dropped support for Go 111 and we did the thread locking behavior. Okay, so improvement, performance, 171. Netlink con no longer requires a locked OS thread for the vast majority of... I think we still lock though in the case of... what do you call it, if you're in a network namespace. Yeah, we do. Oh no, just for the dialing phase, that's right. Locked OS thread for the vast majority of operations, which should result in a significant speed up for highly concurrent callers. Thanks, Timo. Appreciate that. That was a big thorn in my side, that is for sure. Improvement, bug fix. I guess I'll just categorize performance, bug fix. Number 169. Is that what my PR was just now? Yeah, 169. 69. Let's see here. I guess I've already noted that Go 111 or Go 111 is dropped, so I don't really need to note that again, I guess. A call, let's see here. So calls to netlink con close are now able to unblock concurrent calls to netlink con receive and other blocking operations. I guess I can at least note the Go 111 was dropped in 173. Fixed performance. Down the bottom. Improvement. It is an improvement. Support for Go 111 and below has been dropped. Thank God. Upgrade your Go version or suffer the consequences. All users are highly recommended to use a stable and supported release of Go for their applications. I think that's a fair thing to say. Preferably Go 115 plus. Yeah, not necessarily. Users on low versions must use version 111. Yep. Do I still have a Go 111 in here? I thought I did, actually. Hang on a sec. So Go 1... Maybe not. Go 114. Billing.org DL, Go 111. Something like that. Yeah. Go 111, download. Go 111, build. Modular cards Go 112. Yeah. Sweet. You'll love to see it. Go 112. Cool. Cool. Go that star. Why are you messing with Nation Go? I am not, but I have users who do, unfortunately. So there are people building applications with this on like Ubuntu 16.04 LTS, which ships with like Go 110. And I've had numerous people reach out to me and complain about Go 111 stuff, but I have decided enough is enough, and I made a release for them with some bugs, and I told them that that's going to be it. So I'm at the point where I'm no longer going to allow anything before Go 112 because it just has so many APIs that we need that are vital to the library working. Did they pay you? No, but they should. It's okay. They weren't that bad about it. I can't complain that much. Change log, release v1.2. Oh. Git tag 2.0. Push tags. Very kind of you. Yeah. Do what I can. Okay, we got a new release. This is something I've been really dragging my ass about for a long time, so it's probably good that I did it. But let's see. Yep. Cool. I thought I merged that already. No. Delete. A couple other things in here. Performance bottleneck to a single routine. Hang on a sec. Feature number 171 and the newly released v1.2.0 make a significant difference for this issue. Okay, let's see. So I suppose I could bump this in my own applications, but like I said, I'm just trying to think of like what else I really use on a regular basis that needs this. Not much, you know. I suppose I could update a couple of my libraries too. Like some generic netlink or JSON route netlink. This would be a good one to use. I've actually been working on this a lot for work, so excuse me. Which is why I'm not going to do it today, because I'm not being paid to do it today. But, you know. Netlink 120. And then if I run the tests here, they should pass. And that would be a good thing. Go mod tidy. This view stuff is something I was using on my own. I don't need that in the Go mod or anything. Go mod tidy. Keeps adding it because of this program. Let's see here. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get rid of that and tidy one more time. I feel like the tidy process should be built in. I don't remember exactly what the justification was, but okay. MDL bump. Go.mod. Bump. Netlink and golang.org. X. This. Okay. Open up a pull request for JC Minetti. That'd be a nice thing to do. Oh, I didn't even bother to run the test, did I? Oops. Well, that ran really quick, which leads me to believe this isn't doing any integration tests, at least not by default. So, assuming whatever integration tests you have here pass, this should provide some nice speed ups thanks to Timo. I'll sign if I work. I guess it's fine. I'll give work one commit right now. Linux integration test passed 114x. Really? What sort of stuff is this running in here? Test integration. Oh, tags integration. Sweet. Test live adders. Okay, so it's reading the addresses off the interface. Yep. That's good. Loopback, Ethernet, Docker. Yeah, this seems neighbor table entry. Yeah, it seems to be working. So that's good. Yeah, so if you are using this package, please do upgrade to 120 because I'm pretty sure it will make life better for you. It's been a long time coming, a very long time coming. So, actually, I know the Tailscale people are using this too, so I should submit a patch to them really quick. That'd be a nice thing to do as well. Tailscale. Haven't touched this repo in quite a while. Did they change their? They might change their branch name to main, huh? Yeah, they did. That's something I really should do. I I frankly just don't think about it. Netlink. I think they've got it under their WG engine monitor. Yeah, that's right. Let's see. SU. It's gonna bump the one package probably. Right, so they have the WG Engine, Monitor, Linux, right? Because I know they specifically ran into a bug here. What are they doing? Do they have their own route netlink there? Interesting. They do. Looks like a little bit. This is more complex than the last time I saw this. Here we go. This should no longer be necessary. Internal WG engine monitor. No tests. Well, I hope it works. Star dash B MDL netlink. Go.mod bump github.com mdlayer netlink to v120. Personal. Okay. Let's see. Tail scale. Fork that. Yep, remote add fork github mdlayer tail scale. And then git push dash u origin head. Fork head. Sorry. Fork head. Okay. Compare. What did I run? I just ran dash u and then tidy, right? Let's see here. So mdlayer netlink. And we had 162. A sec, I'll just post the change log. Fix the long-standing bug in my package that you were working around before in WG Engine monitor. See also. Yeah, because beforehand this was like inherently a little bit racy because excuse me, this is the technique we basically had used before. Like you would call a set deadline to unblock receives and stuff and then just try and close while nothing else was using it. But if you had lots of receives going on, you could run into trouble here. So it's good that we're fixing this up. So with any luck, this will pass their CI and such. I don't know what all they have as far as integration tests. Sorry, I got a couple messages. My friend's always cooking amazing food and he's sending me pictures and I can't eat like very much right now, so I'm struggling. What's going on? Cool. Didn't pass. Oh, the depware thing. Don't they have like some kind of like dependency? Oh no. I think I saw they have like a make file for fixing this, right? Make depware. That uses unsafe. Is that that does? Hang on a sec. Make update steps, right? Cool. Easy enough. We did our good open source deed for the day. Let's see. So I think we're on a good track with all of this. There were areas I was looking into speeding up here, but I don't exactly remember. I don't know. This library was already pretty quick. I think we were mostly limited by the thread locking and the syscall overhead. So aside from allocations, which are something that we need to look at some point, I don't know. Yeah, like this is gonna allocate like crazy, but I could probably memorize this value and just make sure that like you always allocate that much space for future messages, but just haven't bothered yet. This code got a lot simpler without all the Go 111 layers too. Between the Go 111 layers and then getting rid of the mutex, like just with the atomics, it's easier. S closed, ebedf. Yeah. Yeah, so see, we're seeing ebedf here, which means that this is working. The atomics are doing their job and unblocking or stopping a future read from succeeding. We did pretty good. I feel like I was gonna look at maybe the attribute marshalling stuff. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of the attribute decoder stuff recently as well, and the RT netlink package. Because if you're doing like next hops, like multipath next hops with like MPLS, then you need to decode like it's like the route message and the route attributes, and then inside the attributes you can have like a list of next hops, and each next hop is an RT next hop structure followed by a set of attributes. So you got to iterate those and parse the fixed size structure and the variable length attributes, and then within those attributes they can contain a literal MPLS label. So you got to pick apart like the 20-byte MPLS label, which is a thing. So that was actually a lot of fun to work through. Nothing I've looked at recently, or not super recently, but oh. Some benchmarks and stuff. Haven't run those in a while, but I could switch this to GitHub Actions. Wouldn't be the worst idea, but I mean, I guess all I basically got to do is steal the file from CoreRAD, right? So I think it requires like the same sort of like privilege to set up even. So GitHub Linux integration. GitHub. So let's go ahead and copy. I'll go ahead and copy all of these, and then we can make 3 different or something. So paste. Static analysis. Okay. Go version 1.15. That's something I forgot. Looks like. Anyway, check out the code. Run static check. Go vet. There's no CI build scripts. There's none of this. Yeah. Okay. So static analysis run. Linux tests. Check out code, run the test with race, and then Linux integration tests. This is where I need to port over the other logic. So, oops. So we already done static check and all that stuff. So we need to create a network namespace. So check out the code. Let's see here, create a network namespace for unprivileged tests. Okay. Name unprivileged tests. And then we need to build the test binary and run it, the integration tests, which are all privileged. So build test binary for privileged tests. So go test -c -race. And then we run the tests by using this sudo netlink test. Okay, I think that'll do it. Pretty easy. Netlink 115. 115, setup go, check out the code. Run the tests. Oh, so I've already got the, so actually I can skip the, let's see here, so I can do go test -race -v. And I can actually skip the unprivileged tests in the integration test. Oh, shoot. So I think what I want actually is I want to move these unprivileged tests over to the other. I don't know. I feel like I should create it for both because I think I use it. Go test -v. And then just remove this from here and then just run only the privileged tests. I think this is right. Okay. That seems right to me. GitHub. MDL actions. Port CI build to GitHub. Actions. All right, let's give it a go. Cool, merged already in the RT netlink package. I feel like I'm on a bit of a roll today. Feels pretty good. So the source set builds are running. Are the GitHub actions running? .github. You know, I could have sworn actions were enabled by default. Do you need to do something in the repo settings? I don't even remember anymore. Oh, no more Travis webhook. I haven't used Travis in a long time, actually. Allow all actions. Okay, so it's already all set then. So the GitHub action should be running, I would think. That's weird. Yeah, I would expect them just to come right up pretty much to start running. I don't know. It's only 1 o'clock. I guess I've been up for like 6 hours or something, but feels like it should be later. Let's see. Maybe it runs the existing CI checks first or something. I don't know. I feel like whenever I've done this migration in the past, though, it's picked up the actions to start running them like right away. So that's odd to me, I suppose. 16 contributors. Yeah. This is definitely my most popular package. It gets used a pretty good amount in the Go ecosystem, which is nice, you know. Port to actions failed. Why did this fail? Did it flap? Receives a netlink message in the host namespace. That's good. Well, that's concerning based on the branch we just released, but I don't know. I guess maybe I'll just give this a go and then cut it off for today. Yeah, I've had a good time, but yeah, it's been a couple of hours, and I think we're probably in a good place to wrap up for the day. I would think. I'm kind of running out of stuff to do, and I guess I could go get some stuff done around the house. So yeah, we'll figure out what happens with this. I don't know. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. It's been a good time, and yeah, I will hopefully catch you all on another stream. I suspect we'll probably be doing some, hopefully within a couple of weeks, I would hope. So, alrighty. See you later.